What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy Nightly.
And I'm Clarice.
I think I got my franchise wrong because this is a Halo video.
Yeah, you were so close. Space.
Spoiler chat. Spoilers for episode 5, the episode in which we friends.
Finally got some action.
The Master Chief shot a gun for the first time in 4 episodes of television.
Yeah. Finally, I think what everyone's been waiting for since episode 1. They're like, come on, if it doesn't happen this time, I quit the play.
So let's start off in the worst part of the show, I think, and then let's get to the action, because the action actually really great.
It's pretty great, yeah.
I will say, I liked this episode.
Okay,
This is the best episode so far for reasons that we'll get into later.
Okay, I still hate the Quan Ha stuff.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
So Soren and Quan Ha are riding a bike in the desert.
Yes, and it breaks down.
Breaks for reasons.
I guess.
Maybe it was damaged in the fight last episode, but I wasn't paying attention.
It breaks for plot reasons.
So Soren is trying to fix it, but he actually breaks it worse.
Yeah.
Because he's a great mechanic. And he handcuffs Quan Ha to the motorcycle.
Yes.
And then leaves without her.
Yes. It's like, you can hang out here, because basically, you're my ticket out of here. Not my ticket out of here, but you owe me.
You work for me now. He's basically like, hi, indentured servitude sounds great, because you owe me money. You promised me money. We got here. You didn't give me money. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm staying. And he's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
We had a bargain.
Yeah.
You did not uphold your end of it.
Nope.
And I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
What did you think I meant when I said I am a pirate? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, you should just let me. I'm like, Quan Ha, are you dumb? I think she's dumb.
Honestly, she is written very dumb in this series, and I hate it.
At no point have they given us reason to think that this character is intelligent.
No. She makes the wrong decision at, every turn. It's quite remarkable, actually. And so she gets stuck in the desert, handcuffed to this bike, and is, screaming at it for hours until she finally has the sense to stop, pulling on it and, break the piece that's holding her.
Yeah, she starts trying to push the entirety of the bike. She gets it 15 feet down a hill.
Sure, yeah.
And then, she does manage to break the handcuff, which I feel like bikes aren't, built to be, destruction-proof. I feel like she could have broken something to get the, thing that her handcuff was attached to off a little sooner, but whatever. She gets her handcuff done, and then apparently, Quan Ha is trained in the ancient art of breathing while lying face down in the desert.
I mean, she did grow up on Madrigal.
I guess.
But yeah, she buries herself under a pile of sand for probably hours so that she can then surprise Soren and hit him on the head and knock him out.
Yeah, and then she takes his gun, and the last thing we see is she's pointing his gun at the back of his head, and I hated all of it.
I hate it. It's dumb. This guy, against his better judgment, is, helping you out, for, a promised fee, but still, he's, helping it. He has saved your life on multiple
at this point,
occasions.
he is saying that he's going to take her into indentured servitude.
Well,
I'm just saying that she got into this mess through her own mistakes.
Sure.
And my problem with it is that she's a character who's entirely unwilling to live up to the consequences of her own actions.
Oh, yeah.
And she is not willing to take responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
And so, she's lied, cheated, and stealed to get here. And the show wants her to be our protagonist, but, I don't like her.
No.
I think that she at no turn does she seem to care about anyone but herself.
Yeah.
She's so selfish, and it's baffling to me because I feel like they could have written this what's crazy is Madrigal is literally under the grip of this terrible person in Venture. Yeah. You could have made me really care about her and her struggle if you had made her seem charismatic to her people or anything like her father. But what's so weird is that every turn they make her diminutive and
they make her unlikable.
Unlikable. Yeah. And confused, and she's a child, which makes it weirder.
Yeah.
And every time we cut away from anything else that's happening, every other storyline is better than this one.
Yeah.
I just am I don't want more of this. I really don't. And
we don't care about Quan Ha. The show has not made us care about Quan Ha, so we are going to just.
And up until this point, if you cut everything with her and Soren after the end of episode 2, when Chief drops her off from the show, it wouldn't impact anything else
at all.
It's just not related to anything.
No.
And so, like, I don't even care about it in the sense of, like, ooh, like, what is the UNSC going to do about this? The UNSC does not care about this at all.
They do not care. She's like one person, and they have way bigger fish to fry. And, so
and I know we just complain about this every week, but it's the same problem every week.
It just gets worse.
It honestly, it feels like the show has a writer's room, and they were like, all right, we're going to take all of this team is going to go write the Master Chief stuff and the McKee stuff and all that, and then they point at someone who was like an intern. Was like, we need you to write like a subplot about these two, like the funny adventures of these two characters in the desert, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll go do that. And so it tonally has nothing to do with what's going on with the other characters.
Yeah.
There's no point to it. It's bad.
It's bad.
So let's get to the stuff I liked. Everything else, kind of.
Yeah.
Until the very end, but I liked it.
Yeah. We had some really great action. We have some really good intrigue going on with the UNSC, MSNBC. UNSC.
So we cut
MSNBC.
There's a lot of intrigue over at MSNBC right now.
Oh, God.
So we get the new artifact. They found it. They've set up their camp around it. And Halsey really is just like the horniest we've ever seen her. In this moment, she's like,
she loves this thing more than her family.
Well, that's not much. That's not hard.
I guess it doesn't really say.
One of my favorite parts of this relationship, weirdly, is her relationship with Keys, adult Keys. They're both adults. I can't remember his first name, which is why I'm saying. I guess maybe he's Commander Keys. Anyway, they're married. Their relationship now that they're past their marriage in this was just so funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is amazing work between these two actors who I think are both doing a really good job. Like, I think especially in relationship Keys. And I'm going to call Miranda because I can't remember Key's first name. It's really bugging me.
Yeah.
And I know it. I know that. I've played this game so many times. So Key's relationship to Halsey and Key's relationship to Chief in this episode is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and Chief goes to him in a moment, like, and I didn't realize that they had any kind of relationship, to be honest, before this moment. It's not shown in the show.
That's fair. I don't think they've spoken yet, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He goes to Halsey for everything. But in this episode, he does go to him after seeing more like visions from. Or was it after he saw more stuff, or just like initially? He was like,
no, it's after he touches. Oh my God, we skipped over a whole thing. Okay, let's get into what's weird about the Chief stuff. So Chief, we cut to Chief, and Chief is freaking out about like what he can't see, right?
Yeah.
So he takes off his helmet again and again and again and again and again. Keep your helmet on for like 3 seconds, dude. The fight is literally over.
Combat.
The fight is over for 1 second. He's like, okay, it's all done.
Yeah, I'm like, you are the worst soldier I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and Cortana can also talk to him when his helmet is off, which I think is very weird. Like, where?
Because it's in his brain.
I guess.
It's not in his helmet.
I guess. It doesn't matter. So Chief goes to the structure, touches it, sees visions of.
Because they break it open.
Basically evidence that Halsey kidnapped him.
Yes, they break open there's like a glass thing kind of surrounding it, and it like has a really negative effect, and obviously that
it basically sends out a sound beam that is also there's like a local area sound beam, but also like a deep space signal that's sent out
that the Covenant gets alerted to. So like okay, fine.
Action. But so Chief touches it and like sees proof that like, or a memory, not necessarily proof, but Halsey kidnapped him as a kid.
Yes.
And so she walks into the cave and she's like, "Yo, what you doing?" And he
goes to murder her.
He full on leaps to punch her in the face with his Spartan fist.
Oh yeah, she would die. Like
he goes to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, I get that he's upset, but like. One of my problems with how they're writing Master Chief in this series is that they want him to be like so calm, cool, and collected in battle. Because in the battle scene of the 2 Spartans, we'll get into the whole Kai of it all, but Master Chief manages to keep his cool throughout the whole fight scene. But in this scene, does he keep his cool at all? No. He goes to murder her, and she's like, Cortana!
And Cortana shoves him down.
He's out. I guess. I like Cortana a lot in this.
Yeah.
Her being able to like completely shut him down is a little strange to me.
Yeah, but I think that was the whole point. That's what Halsey wants,
100%. Yeah.
Like, she needs that control. And so, shuts her down. Master Chief wakes up sometime later, and, there's people around him with guns, but no one's really, like, doing anything. Like,
they immediately let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not even going to bother standing in your way. And so then he goes to Kiev, right?
To Keys, yeah. But this is the thing, like, he just tried to murder Halsey. It's like at the end, episode 3.
Like, okay.
Episode 3, he's like a prisoner, or he just went,
He's
AWOL.
a war criminal.
And then he comes back and they're like, oh yeah, you can, like, walk around town, that's fine, we don't really... And then in this, he tries to murder Halsey and they're like, oh, you can do whatever you want. Like, the show... even when the good shit is happening, and there's good shit in this episode, the show makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, its internal logic is so... And we'll get to why the McKee stuff is worrying to me in terms of internal logic at the very end of this episode. But the internal logic of this moment, where you're like, oh yeah, do whatever you want. Like, you just tried to murder Halsey, but, like, it's just free reign.
Yep, yeah. It doesn't... that made absolutely no sense to me. So he goes to Keys and he's like, hey, I saw a vision... I think Halsey kidnapped me when I was a child. Because he says you replaced me with something, which is obviously, you've told me, is
they're replaced with clones who die off.
Yeah.
Because in previous episodes, they keep talking about how flash cloning is illegal, and so it's going to come up that Halsey created all these illegal clones to replace children for the Spartan program.
Yes.
That's going to be a big part of the season that I definitely want to get to before we get to the Halo in Halo.
Yes, we still have not gotten there.
But this leads to something I loved, which is the relationship between Halsey, Keys, and Miranda becomes complicated because they're having a conversation with the Admiral, and she's like...
She's like, make sure Chief's under control, and Halsey's like, oh, he is. And Keys is like, no, he's not.
But Keys is like, all right, if we're going to do this, I don't want Miranda to be a part of it. I want her to have plausible deniability.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, shit, like... I like that.
It's
and then
the right choice.
His relationship with her, though, when he goes to her and he's like, you're off the project, she's like, what are you talking about? And he can't tell her the truth.
No.
Because we see in the flashback, he would be incriminating himself, and he doesn't want his daughter to have to, like, testify against him, right? Yeah, exactly. His daughter doesn't know what they did for the Spartan program.
Exactly.
Also...
he wants to keep her hands clean.
Young Keys and young Halsey, when they're, like, in the flashback on Iridian, it's fun. I like that.
It is fun. That was very cool.
This is my point. There's stuff in here I like. There is stuff in here that is good, right?
I know, and it's so frustrating. Because I'm like, just get it together.
So
please.
Bad.
Yeah, like really, like awful, and it makes me sad because I feel like this show could have actually had so much potential.
100%.
Like seeing a lot of the things and the actors that got involved, but
and the actors, honestly, even in the worst moments, it really does feel like the actors
doing their best.
Other than a couple, then I don't want to I don't want to start dragging people.
No,
but
we're not gonna.
But like other than a couple of like weird performances, the one I will drag is the assistant, and it's not even his fault. I've seen him in other stuff. He's a good actor.
The writing is so weird.
Halsey's assistant is so uncomfortable in every scene he's in. I don't know if they just like don't like him and they want I don't get it.
Yeah, but anyways, we get to some fighting.
Well, let's talk about Kai first because Kai is quickly becoming one of the highlights of the show for me for the simple reason of how impressive she makes Master Chief look. Because she's very intelligent. Yes. And last week we showed Kai is very intelligent. She's clearly an asset to the UNSC.
Absolutely.
But she doesn't have her hormone pill in it. And Chief looks at her one time and he's like...
he sees her hair and he's like, oh, I know exactly what happened. He's like, when you took the pellet out, and she's like, right after you did. And he's like, well, you can't fight anymore then. And she's like, what? Well, you're fighting. And he's like, no!
Yeah, because I'm Chief and you're not. And he's like, my word is law and yours is not.
Well, but it also stands to reason that he knows he's not battle ready and he just doesn't care, right?
I don't believe that. I do not think that that's how he views himself. I think that he 100% sees her taking her pellet out and acting in a way that he thinks makes her not battle ready. And I think he thinks that every decision... No. I'm not saying that he's right.
Oh.
I want to be very clear.
Oh, okay. I was like...
him trying to murder Halsey is the wrong thing to do in that situation. No matter what she did, murdering her
it's not gonna
by punching her head off of her body is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't think that he views himself as not battle ready.
Yeah.
And also, I think that Halsey has filled his head with this, like, oh, Cortana is going to make this work. Yeah. And so I think that he thinks that, like, Cortana is going to make it all work. But Kai is great because Kai is showing us the consequences of taking the pellet out. Yeah. They can't let Chief show us because it would...
because he needs to be
the show would fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that the writers, the way they've used Kai, I don't want to say used in like...
no, but as a literary device, yeah. That's...
and the performance of that actress, I think has led to Kai being a really like has really helped me with the UNSC stuff because there are consequences to the actions in the USC side, which there hasn't really been in the first few episodes outside of like characters like the captain of that ship in the last episode or 2 episodes ago that McKee like took over.
Yeah.
This use of the Kai storyline, her completely falling apart, seeing bloodshed for the first time.
Yeah, like, and actually seeing and experiencing it. I think it was really well done.
And sets up that Chief could have a similar reaction to something in the future, and that Chief, in a way, is a ticking time bomb.
Yes.
Now, obviously, if he starts to have those issues, Cortana can fix it, right? Which is the difference between them. But I liked the Kai stuff in this, and I liked that Chief is supposed to be the best of them. Like, John is picked out by Cortana in the lore. He's literally picked up by Cortana instead of by Halsey, but he's picked up by Halsey because he is the best from a young age, and we see that in the flashback when he saves the boy. Chief is supposed to be the best Spartan, and it's the reason why even after they make the Mark IIIs, even when other Spartans come into the field, John 117 is still the one that saves the day, and it's just because there's something about him. And in this show, I was a little worried they were going to smooth John out into being just kind of another one of the Spartans, and it was going to be like the team of Spartans. But there was a reason why Vanek and Kai and Riz, I always forget her name, Riz, there's a reason why they look at her and go, no, John is 117.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason why the three of them look at him and they're like, oh no, he's Chief.
Yeah.
And you see it in this episode because she can't handle it. She takes her pellet out, goes into combat, can't handle it.
Yeah.
Chief goes into this combat, this incredibly shot, like, this was good combat.
Yeah, everything looked
fun.
Great. The action looked great. The creatures looked great. The weapons looked great.
We got grunts. We got jackals.
The little creatures, though, they like run with their shields and like don't actually use them, and that's a little weird to me. But they just run with them while they're being shot at. They don't actually like put them in
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
that's actually how they move in the games, though. When they're in motion, their arms kind of go to their sides, and that's when you can pick them off. And then when they stop, they get behind their shields.
Yeah, okay. So that's from the game. But it was the first thing I noticed.
Thought about it.
I was like, that is the silliest thing that you could do, running into gunfire. But
but jackals in the games do that. They don't really run like this. They kind of run like this, and you can get your headshots.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's
a nice pull, babe. Wow.
It was the first thing I noticed as soon as they dropped, because they had shields. And didn't use it.
I've been playing Halo for like 20 years, and I never thought it was weird that the jackals put their shields down a bit to run. Yeah. That's funny.
I would sacrifice like the speed of movement to have a shield, but
especially when Chief is there.
Yeah.
So we watch the combat is just really great. We get like multiple phantoms. There's
we get a brute.
The brute is so tall.
Yeah, the brute.
He's so large.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
In the games, the brutes are like a little bit taller than Chief.
Like a head taller, maybe?
No, not even. Well, maybe a head. It depends. They have armor in these big boots on,
so
it's hard to tell.
Head and chest above him.
Yeah, he's like 14 feet tall.
Yeah.
It was like Hagrid's was suddenly like plopped onto the field.
Yeah.
The way that they drop out of the ships, though, was very much from the games. I loved that.
Yeah. The action sequence was very, very well done.
It's so, and Chief looked even better than the first episode. Honestly, Chief looked like Chief. Pablo, whatever his name is, he ran into combat like Chief in this episode, and I was so impressed with his physical performance.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think that, or not having said that as if a negative thing, one of my favorite things about this episode is that Kai goes down.
Yeah.
And Chief is like, no, I'm gonna go save her.
Yeah.
And so he gets out of the Warthog, and they're like, no, you need to save the Warthog to save the thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it, that Phantom was going to hit that Warthog no matter what, right? Like, whether the Chief's decision there does not ruin the moment.
Yeah.
Does not save the day. He saves Kai, though.
Yeah.
And that's Chief, man.
Yeah.
That is the character I love. This episode gets the character. After the Covenant fight starts, Chief became Chief for the first time in the show, and I loved it. I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
Are there any other highlights from the combat for you? Jackals with energy swords was really cool.
Yeah. I just... The last bit of the episode was just like overall the highlight for me.
How did you feel about Cortana being like, switch to secondary weapon, and she's like, I know how to play the game?
That was very funny.
Did you think it was too meta?
No, I think it was like just enough.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I did that. I liked it.
I kind of wish that you would say that in the game when she said that. I think that would be very funny. I know how to play the game.
Yeah, that would be funny.
But
yeah, no.
Overall, good. The one question I want to have before we wrap this up, how did you feel about the way that McKee gets introduced at the very end?
It's weird. I don't know what the hell her plan is.
Right, because they got the thing, so I guess she still needs the keystone, but
yeah, she's still interested in Master Chief and what he can do, and also the other artifact. But she is so suspicious at this point. I don't know what her plan is.
I just don't know what if I was the UNSC and someone was dropped out of that ship, I would put them into isolation.
Yeah.
And I would. There would be a long process before they would be allowed to interact with anything.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm worried the show won't do that. I'm worried the show is just going to do what they do with Chief and just let her walk around.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, we saved you.
She is so sus. So sus. Unless she has some crazy elaborate, story that maybe checks out with, some UNSC info or something.
Yeah, I'm just not
I don't know.
I don't know. I wish that she felt smarter as a villain.
Yeah.
Because her plan here is really weird.
It is weird.
That the elites would drop off a woman and then leave. It just feels very.
And I have a feeling it's gonna be they needed me to find this stone. They used me, and then once they were done with me, they left me here.
But why would they leave her alive?
Yeah, why wouldn't they just kill her?
Or she's gonna be I escaped. How the hell did you escape?
Yeah,
right?
There's no way. There's no way that you escaped. And so I'm really worried about that moving forward, but we'll see what they come up with, and
hopefully it works. It was just kind of I really liked the end of the episode. I liked that Master Chief came up against a brute for the first time and didn't know what to do yet.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle that he needs to solve later, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, and so the brute was able to get away with the artifact.
But I wish that was the final moment instead of the McKee being the final moment, because it just became kind of like me going, oh, what is her plan?
Yeah.
Villains intentionally getting caught is just it's so done for me.
Yeah.
There was that 3-year period where Benedict Cumberbatch's Khan did it. The Joker did it in The Dark Knight. Loki did it in The Avengers. And Silva, I think, was the character in the Bond movie. And all of the major blockbusters in a 2-year period had the same trope.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of done with the I'm gonna get captured because it's my plan to get away.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works. Hopefully it works like the end of this episode worked. I hope that from now on we stick with the second half of this episode vibe, because I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I liked the Keys Miranda Halsey relationship.
Yeah.
I liked the Kai Chief relationship. I love Vanek and Riz. I want more of them. There's stuff in the show I'm starting to like now. I just hope that we don't go back to okay, well, we blew our budget, so now let's spend 4 episodes with no action and then have action in the finale.
Yeah, I hope not.
Because this was the mid-season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hoping that we get action in 6, 7, and 8, and not just more talky, random, not Halo-y feeling stuff. And then in the finale, we get another big action sequence, and that's this show.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll have to wait and see.
If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit that dislike button. You can't see it, but we can, and we cry ourselves to sleep every night over our dislikes.
Yeah.
You can also leave mean comments down below, because the algorithm god is hungry. We must feed her. You can follow us around the internet. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
And as always, y'all, do something nerdy tonight. Bye.